Cannonball Adderley, whose real first name was Julian, was an American alto saxophonist whose career, according to Wikipedia, spanned 1955 to 1975 when he died. He has a typically large jazz person's discography, but actually where they're slightly misleading is that his career actually started earlier than 1955. That's the point where he formed his own group. But he had worked with Ray Charles, for example, in the early 40s. He'd led a band at his college in the late 40s. As well as that, he's worked with several people fairly prominently. Worked with Miles Davis on the album Kind of Blue, and with other people as well. And there are some people who've been fairly consistent in his career, particularly Nat Adderley, who was his brother, who played trumpet and cornet. Hi, my name's Dan. So this is my first time listening to this album. And this is a live album of jazz music by a jazz quintet, who are Cannonball Adderley on the alto sax, his brother Nat on the cornet, a guy called Joe Zawinul, who I've heard of on piano and electric piano, and a drummer and a bassist. Of course, that's an upright bass. And although it says it's at the club, which is a reference to a club that was initially called Club de Lisa in Chicago, which was renamed The Club. It wasn't actually recorded at the club. It was recorded in a studio in Hollywood with an invited audience and an open bar. And Cannonball agreed to pretend it was at the club because he was a friend of the owner of the club and it was doing it as a favour to give him publicity. So it's a bit of deception involved here. There are 6 tracks that range between jazz of a mildly kind of, not free jazz, but a decent amount of improvisation. Apparently the style of jazz here is hard bop. I am not good enough at identifying different styles of jazz yet to be able to confirm that from my own opinion. But at the other end of the spectrum here is, I would say, is R&B. So similar sound to kind of the Blues Brothers movie and the band there. Now, apparently, according to both Wikipedia and the acclaimed music list, this is listed as soul jazz. But I think R&B is it would kind of ring a bell more with me. So those tracks that are more of the kind of soul jazz end have a more obvious structure, but they still use some improv. Those 3 are Mercy, 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 which features strongly electric piano and was written by Joe Zawinul, who was the pianist here. Sticks, which is probably my favourite track on the album, and Sakawo, which is the last track on the album. And the other 3, I would say, are more jazzy in their feel and freer in their kind of improvisation as well as the. So what I mean there is that the rhythm section are improvising more. In the more soul jazz quotes tracks, the rhythm section are more solid and more predictable. So overall, so it was energetic and fun. The audience are obviously really into it and having a great time. I suspect that the free bar has helped there, but the music, of course, has to stand up for itself, and it does so. And it's an interesting crossover between jazz and stuff that's not quite so jazz, and I enjoyed it. There's stuff here in the whole spectrum that I thought was enjoyable. So yeah, good. That's what I think. Good. I'd love to know what you think, even if it's just the one word. Please do leave a comment, and that's it from me for now.